God, back at it again with another video, back at it again with a stream. And today, Maniac reacts to history, presents some Mormon stuff. This guy named Brigham Young, it's another guy I learned about on Joe Rogan podcast. If you don't watch the Joe Rogan Experience, you're honestly missing out. Not everything is going to be 100% accurate, but nothing anyone ever says is 100% accurate. We're all learning together. We're all talking about new things, experiencing new things. And if you just want to just learn more about the world, watch the Joe Rogan Experience. And if you think that he's a co-opted liar, you could just Google or Gronk all the stuff that you hear on there. You're going to get a lot of great information, I promise you. But we learned about this guy. Well, I learned about this guy on the Joe Rogan Experience, and you're going to learn about it watching Maniac Reacts. So we're going to hop right into this thing.
So the recent Netflix series American Primeval paints Brigham Young out to be a villain of the deepest evil. And this actually is nothing new. There is a long tradition of painting Brigham Young as a monster. Now, Brigham certainly had some rough edges, and in an almost Donald Trump-like fashion, he said things that we all wish that he didn't say. But serious biographers of Brigham Young, including non-Mormons like John Turner, paint a very different picture of Brigham. Brigham was a complex man, to be sure, but he was also a man in a very complicated set of circumstances, and most people who hate Brigham Young could not even give you a basic sketch of his life and the circumstances that he was faced with. In the future, I hope to make a series telling his incredible story. But in this video, I will just tell you a few things about him that the popular press and even ignorant members never mention. A popular trope is that Brigham Young wanted to exterminate the Native Americans in Utah. This is because the following letter was sent by Governor Young in 1850 to the territorial military after a series of skirmishes with local Indians.
You are hereby ordered to race forth with a company of 50 efficient men, and to cooperate with the inhabitants of said valley in quelling and staying the operations of all hostile Indians, and otherwise act, as the circumstances may require, exterminating such as do not separate themselves from their hostile clans, and sue for peace.
In no way is that an issue to exterminate the Native Americans in Utah. He said go up there, cooperate with them, and those who don't want to cooperate, they gotta go. Because we're being attacked. For those who don't know, I think he's gonna get into it, but Brigham Young was a Mormon in, like you said, in Utah, became the governor, and, during this time, we had a lot of beef with Native American tribes. We also, what they don't tell you, got along with a lot of Native American tribes. And like he said, if you're at war, having constant battles, having constant skirmishes with an opposing force, you can't just let them keep attacking you, right? So what he's just saying here is find the ones that we can be peaceful with, the ones that don't want to be peaceful. Show them how we get down. I don't think that's an issue to exterminate
Now,
them.
obviously, this order was not calling for the genocide of all Native Americans. It focused on hostile Indians specifically.
While some of Young's decisions had tragic consequences, he was not an exterminator. Indeed, when he received word of the first deaths, Young discouraged hasty and broad retribution.
While we consider such outrages altogether unbearable, and we will not submit to them, we have no desire to inflict indiscriminate punishment upon both the innocent and the guilty.
Historians who study the settling of the American West, actually nearly universally, recognize that Brigham was strangely empathetic toward natives when compared to others of that time.
Young showed unusual empathy for the Indians' plight. While he insisted that the saints were not interlopers because God had brought them to the Great Basin, both peoples possessed the land, and the saints had to provide for the Indians, whose sustenance they had imperiled.
Fuck. So this is more of the issue with not watching these videos so I can get a pure reaction to them is that I don't really know what we're gonna get into, and this isn't a documentary about Brigham Young. It's stories basically defending him. rather than talking about the stuff that he did and got into. I'm gonna give it till 5 minutes. If we don't see any gas, it's like actually talking about him who, cause like you would think they would start the video with like who he was, how he rose to power. But this isn't really like that. So I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. If we don't see any goods, we're gonna hop into a different
in the
video.
American West would have called for restraint and coexistence under similar circumstances.
And how about the native chiefs? What did they think of Brigham?
The chiefs in attendance expressed due respect for Young. Brigham is the great captain of all, stated the Pavant chief Kanash, for he does not get mad when he hears of his brothers and friends as the California captains do. Kanash praised Young's straight talk and accused past federal Indian agents of employing two tongues.
Periodically, Brigham sent letters and presents, cattle, clothing, guns, grain, tobacco, to the chief Walkara, who they called Walker, and responses became more and more respectful. By the time of Walker's death, early in 1855, he was willing to say that Brigham really had been his best friend. Brigham's language in these diplomatic exchanges is illustrated in his letter written less than a month before the chief's death. Brother Walker, you have never known me to be aught but your steadfast, undeviating friend. No two faces, nor double meaning have I ever
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Give me one quick second. We're gonna switch this up a little bit. If I could spell. An hour, 1 minute, 9
2 years after the murder of their prophet, Joseph Smith.
Maybe. Let's try this. Let's see what this one's talking about.
At the hands of an angry mob, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, led now by Brigham Young, sought to find refuge and establish Zion in the Rocky Mountains. Young stated that he was looking for a place on this earth that nobody else wants. After a harsh, grueling 1,000-mile trek through the great Midwestern plains and imposing Rocky Mountains, Young and his band of explorers came into view of the Salt Lake Valley. Weakened by an intense mountain fever, Brigham Young mustered his strength, sat up, looked over the Salt Lake Valley, and stated, "This is the place. Drive on."
I just want to be able to put the
As
caption
Young
on the
declared
screen.
this is the place, there were lingering concerns that for once the Mormons had found a home. In each case, Smith settlements had become a source of local controversy and eventually targets of persecution. Sometimes they were burned to the ground, often looted by mobs, and in each case for the Mormons, relatively short-lived. The states and the federal government turned a blind eye to mob actions, or in the case of Missouri, Governor Boggs issued an extermination order that applied to any Mormons in his state. This is an important history in order to understand the motivations behind the Mormon rebellion and their willingness to stand up against federal forces, which will be a major topic. Each movement by the members had been harsh and unforgiving.
They rebelled against
and many
federal
were weary
forces.
of traveling 1,500 miles westward only to look at being displaced again. Young had multiple options for westward settlement: the rain-soaked northwest, south to Arizona or Mexico, even north into Canada. However, to keep his people and church free from displacement again, Young sought seclusion. The Great Basin was secured by large mountains, land for farming that would take effort to prepare, ample water, and no desired by westward explorers looking for gold, homesteads, or traditional settlements. As Heber Bolton recorded, for the main seat of the Saints, the forbidding desert fitted for Young's grim purpose. There, Brigham wrote, will require hard labor, and consequently will other people, while it's surrounding by so unpopulous, but in the basin, of all places, the Mormons would be unmolested and have elbow room into which to expand. Utah and the Salt Lake Valley was not the paradise Mormons members had hoped for, as they'd come from the fertile valleys of the Midwest. In order to steal in, Young pronounced, "We We have been kicked out of the frying pan, into the fire, out of the fire, and into the middle of the floor. And here we are, here we will stay. God has shown me this is a spot to locate his people, and here is where they will prosper. As the saints gathered here and get strong enough to possess the land, God will temper the climate, and we shall build a city and a temple to the Most High God. We will extend our settlements to the east and to the west, and to the north and to the south. And we will build towns and cities by the hundreds, and thousands of saints will gather from the nations of the earth. This will become the great highway of nations. Brigham Young also expressed the desire for the Mormons to become self-sufficient from the rest of the world. Young wanted the members to farm their own food, build their own tools, homes, schools, hospitals, and anything else that would allow for them to build their version of Zion. While Young wanted to establish isolation from what the church considered Gentiles,
Not gonna lie to y'all, this
he expected to make the saints
not this layout, but this
Young hoped to develop a favorable balance of trade with outsiders because he knew eventually his people would have to be open.
Cinematography is not the most appealing.
Young expected to draw the commerce of the world to Utah, and his settlement quickly became a major passway to the rest of the West. Although still weak and recovering from the illness that had struck him down on the journey into the Salt Lake Valley, Brigham Young went to work immediately on designing and laying out how the Mormons should settle into their new home. On July 26, just days removed.
I'm gonna upload this 11 minutes that we've done so far. If you're interested in more Brigham Young, I will find something better, probably something longer. And we'll get a full detailed, like a good full video on Brigham Young, because his story seems so interesting. Shoot, I might do this goddamn story. I might just like watch American, whatever the name of the video docuseries is. I might watch it and just tell you guys, give you guys like an update of how cool it was. But I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this is killing me. It's boring me. So we're gonna call it a video here. And if y'all like to know about this guy, because I promise you he is interesting. His story is really nice. I'll make that happen for y'all. But this ain't it. So I'll catch y'all on the flip side.